Hi people, how are you doing? Valentine's Day, 14th of February. Very memorable day for many different events as well, different international Indian events. Um, and very memorable for us as well because today we are talking about the 48 Laws of Power, first chapter. Alright, so let's get to it. First chapter. What's its title? The title is really interesting and really relates to my story because I have had a few really great mentors in my life. Not a few actually, if I just counted, then actually two. And two of those deserved what I gave them and the respect from every of the students. Both really spiritual and really knowing the human psychology, really smart, intelligent. So really great. I appreciate them for that. The first law is never outshine the master. What does this mean? Never outshine the master. Never show that you are greater than your master. Always keep your master into the light. No matter what you have achieved, your greatest invention, your greatest discovery, your greatest work should show the contribution of your master if you are not independent, which no one is. The judgment says, always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. Into whom? Into your master. Make your master appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. So true, so true, so true. So as Robert Greene does, he uses a really a great technique of explanation which starts with a story. So actually many stories are here, but two stories which I liked. One have a sad ending and the next is a happy ending. First story. A person named Nicholas Fouquet, and this person will call him Mr. Fouquet. So Mr. Fouquet was the finance minister of Louis the 12th, I suppose, or no, 14th. So Louis the 14th. So Louis the 14th had a finance minister, Nicholas Fouquet. All right, very brilliant finance minister, really rich, handling the courtyard really well, all the finances. People would think that he is the successor of the current finance minister. Okay. And so such was his potential. However, among all of these rumors that people were believing in, that the current finance minister will now retire and this new person, Nicholas Fouquet, will take over the Louis the 14th's finances. Louis the 14th thought of a new approach by doing some modifications in the position as a finance minister, into which the criteria for Mr. Fouquet wasn't suitable, and then Mr. Fouquet, to impress Louis the 14th, arranged a big party, a really great party. It was so great that it was named as the most impressive, expensive, great, beautiful, charming party of that time. All right, and all of the guests appeared over there. All of the guests visited. All of the subjects were invited, and thus, obviously, the special chief guest, King Louis XIV, was invited as well. King Louis XIV came, and Mr. Fouquet thought that with all of the money I spend on this party, all of the things I do over here, the more the party will seem good, I would be the greater in the eyes of Louis XIV. However, in the game of impressing, or with the intention of impressing King Louis XIV, Fouquet did one mistake, that Fouquet's step of presenting the greatest party of all time, or the greatest celebration of all time. It showed Louis XIV's parties and celebrations and arrangement lower than that of Mr. Fouquet's. And then Louis XIV thought that, obviously, as all of the masters will do, I will do, and you will do too, because no matter if you're Einstein, if you were even Einstein at one point, right? No matter if you're Newton, no matter if you are some great musician, if you are totally, if you're Picasso, no matter how much focused or in a flow you are with your field, when you achieve a certain level of success, you will care about your image, you will care about your every personality and image you form in front of the people. And thus Louis XIV felt offended, and obviously he didn't talk to anyone about he felt offended or felt inferior or insecure. The next day though, the Fouquet was arrested upon the charges of stealing from the kingdom, though he stole the money with the permission and under the guidance of King Louis XIV. But still, King Louis XIV then arrested Mr. Fouquet, and after a few days executed him and chose his finance minister, comparatively a guy with comparatively less potential compared to Mr. Fouquet, obviously here, which will obviously appear inferior in front of Louis XIV, because master should never be outshined. And so, in order to impress the master, of course impress him or her with your skills, with your talent, with your discoveries, but always remember never to outshine them. How can you do that? Mr. Robert Greene says over here, attach their name. There are two methods. But before going to that, let's come to the second story with a happy ending. Galileo, the real story. Galileo in 1600s, like all other Italian astronomers and mathematicians, he used to invent and discover many things and present it in front of the king to get the reward for that, and thus he was getting his students and obviously many gifts by presenting those, and obviously the funding for his inventions and discoveries and research by presenting them in front of the king, right? And so he thought of a plan. He was seeing that I am doing all of this, but all I'm getting is some fund, which obviously I will need to spend into my research, into my discovery, and some gifts. So I'm not really, I don't really have some freedom of money or finances. As soon as I stopped creating, I stopped discovering, I will be a beggar. And this insecurity in Galileo led him to think one really great idea, and that idea was, why not do this? What was this? Let's get to it. So Galileo made an invention, okay? In 1610, he discovered Jupiter and Jupiter's moon. What he did, in very brief, He connected all of that phenomenon of Jupiter and the Jupiter's moon to the king. But firstly, after discovering that, instead of just presenting it to the king and writing books upon it, he actually first made a hype out of it. That Jupiter, there is this thing in our sky, and his four successors, revolving around it, and then he connected it to the king, to the dynasty of the king, and at that time, the king he chose the king of Medici. Okay, he chose the Medici dynasty. Okay, why Medici dynasty? At random, because maybe that king was very close to him. I don't know, but instead of going to other different kings each time with the different discoveries, just chose one king and stick to him, and like took him really high, because obviously he was also seeing that this king is not going to fall soon. So obviously high money, high gain, high returns, right? ROI was really good over there. And then so he discovered the Jupiter. He connected how the Jupiter is the founder of the dynasty, and the four and the rest, the moon, the four moons of the Jupiter discovered at that time were the successors, the really great and brave and superior successors of that dynasty, revolving around the founder. And one of those was Medici's. Okay, or maybe the Medici's was Jupiter, I don't know, but after that, then Galileo here, what he did then, he provided a crown, an emblem for that king, with this concept of Jupiter and on all the four moons around it, and thus the people perceived king over here as God. And that's when the king thought, or the king kept Galileo as one of the members in his kingdom. And here's where Galileo now started to get continued income, monthly income, financial pain. The days of begging were now over. What he did, if suppose he wouldn't have done that all, okay, like you and me obviously did a few times, just take the funds, just take the help, do something, and then show it to the people and show it to the helper. No. In this case, the king or the fundraiser might feel that he is just there providing some money and he is getting used. So to make him feel involved into that experiment, what Galileo did, took the funds, okay, but made him appear bigger. Now why appear bigger? Because he was the king. And as Galileo made king appear bigger, superior power appear bigger, he achieved what Robert Greene here calls the heights of power. This is the power you can obtain by never outshining your master, which is obviously true as well. I was, for example, I had a mentor. I still perceive him as a mentor, and which is obviously true. If I'm telling someone that my this speaking skill, my confidence, my turning point of life is due to this mentor, then it is not the matter of me using the mentor in some way. No, it's the truth. So what is harm in speaking the truth, right? In the spirituality, if you're from India, or if you are from any religion, there is this thing of worshipping the God. Well, in my context, they're only using the power of love, which is the greatest, but also the other energies, and obviously the blessings of the God, and the blessings of the parents, and the blessings of the mentor, the leader, the teacher. It works. They are fucking worthy, and I've experienced this many times. Now, there are two techniques you can use, or you can employ the power by your master in your favor. Obviously, they will obviously give you the permission to use those powers. First, you can inadvertently outshine a master simply by being yourself. Okay. Right. So this is how actually these two ways are how you do not want to overshine your master, right? So first is just by being yourself. Okay, so like now I'm myself, I'm speaking here and there, I'm speaking my true thoughts. Obviously they are not true, but like I'm this egoistic person, I have achieved this much, this much, this much, and I'm saying that this mentor, this is nothing, I am self-made and I'm this and I'm that. Being myself, obviously, or maybe my charm, that my spiritual charm, my beauty, my smartness, my intellect, my intelligence, my business skills. Maybe someday I would have some greater ideas, because obviously I'm the young generation, right? So due to that generation gap, maybe I have a better idea. But if I'm being myself at this point and I'm just telling it by myself, outshining my master to my master's audience, I am done. Because though I have better intellect, though I have a better idea, but master have the power of the audience, trust of the audience, experience of lifetime. That what matters over here. Second, never imagine that because the master loves you, you do anything you want. So when I was small, like in 9th and 10th grade, I was favorite of all of the teachers, especially this one teacher who is obviously a mentor. He never bashed me, okay? He never touched me, like beat me on my mistakes and stuff, and never called me separately in class, okay? He used to give a speech, and then in that he would blend in some point who would be directed at me, and he would just look at me while saying that to the class, and I would understand that. So I was pretty famous. I was pretty close to that person. But so here in this case, my master loves me, but this doesn't mean that I would do anything. And at that time, I would think like I can do anything, and I used to do. And then I slowly realized that that is actually a problem, and I shouldn't. And that's when then I started to get better. So remember, 2 ways you can outshine your master: by mistake, by being yourself too much, and by thinking that you can do anything because your master loves you. It's not that way. All right, there are some formalities and you need to do that. They are compulsory. Next, the point which I said in the beginning of the videos: if your ideas are more creative than your master's, ascribe them to him in as public a manner as possible. Make it clear that your advice is merely an echo of his advice. That's what I said, right? If I'm speaking really better, really good, charming, thanks to my master for that turning point. Obviously I can make myself look superior, because never think that if you will cite your master into your achievements, that will lower your status. It does not work that way, because people are seeing you getting better, and you becoming charming, and you appearing stronger and more better, just in general. So people are seeing that, and that will make you superior in people's perspective. But claiming that this is a mere echo of your master's voice, that means if you are good at speaking, thanks to your master, because he initiated me into reading, and thus I can get a really better logics and ideas, that will make you superior in your master's eye as well, and thus he will bestow upon you more and more help, more and more wisdom. And masters actually like to do that. The mentors, the teachers, they like to do that. You just have to ask for it. That's a really important thing I learned, not just from this book, but in my personal life as well. Now the reversal of this law, the Robert Greene also gives reversal, but before that, let's see if you missed something. Looks like we do not. We did not. Now let's look at the reversal then. I know this video has been a bit longer. Obviously I'll improve my compression. But anyways, so reversal is that if a master is not your mentor, is not your teacher, look, okay, is not your mentor, is not your teacher, but just like a business partner who has helped you with the funds. For example, the king in this case, if Galileo would have seen that the king is going to fall in like mere 1 year, he would have just stopped. He wouldn't have done that, or he would have been to um, a different warrior. And in the best case scenario, if Galileo is really harsh, business minded person, then he would have went to the opposition of King Medici, of the of the king of the Medici dynasty. Okay, the King Medici and the Medici dynasty. Okay, so the Jupiter was that king himself actually, yeah. So the King Medici, he would have went to the opposition of the King Medici, and then he would have outshined the King Medici to gain the King Medici's power, because he knew that the king is going to fall, so the master is going to fall. So wait for the fall of the master. If the master is not your mentor, this thing is very important. If the master is not your mentor, not your teacher, only and only then, because outshining the mentor in the physical realm, you can do that in front of the world, but outshining the master in the spiritual realm is not possible. And if you outshine the master in the spiritual realm and insult him or her, from the spiritual realm, the bad luck will just flow upon you. It will just flood upon you. So keep that in mind. But if it's like the king who is just funding you, and it's good, and it's not even your good friend and stuff, but just a mutual give and take, then what to do is just wait and have patience. And once you see that the master is now falling, that's your way, bro. That's your way. Master becomes weak at some point, you take the advantage and you show no mercy to the master in ripping it apart. And if the master is already falling down, it's a downward graph, then just wait for the dynasty to come to an end naturally, and then you will be the leader. At this time, I would recommend you should actually spend this time in polishing your techniques and your disciplines, which makes you superior even more. Polish them, and as the master will outshine naturally, you will come to light. This was the end of the first chapter of 48 Laws of Power. Sorry for this video being too long. I'll improve upon it and will make the shorter and shorter videos, giving you the most suitable information. For now, have a nice day, and obviously subscribe, because you'll get better, and because no one is more powerful than myself.